welcome to this extraordinary meeting of the Queenstown Lakes District Council Infrastructure Committee. The meeting open at 11:30. First item is apologies. Got an apology from Councillor Ferguson, who's on approved leave of absence. Also from Councillor Smith. He's not here today. I'll move that those apologies be accepted.
I'll second it.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Declarations of conflicts of interest. Have we got any conflicts of interest to declare?
No.
Right.
No.
Thank you. None from Nikki? No. No resolution required. Confirmation of agenda. Move that the agenda be confirmed without addition or alteration. Are there any additions or alterations to the agenda?
One item, isn't it?
Yeah. So we agree. Okay.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Aye.
Thanks. Right, so that brings us to item 1, the one and only item. Additional parking restrictions under the Traffic and Parking Bylaw 2018, Robbins Road active travel. We've got people at the table with us here today. He's the author of the report, so I'll hand over to you, Ian. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'll take the report as read and open to any questions.
Any questions?
I just have one
Go, Nikki.
above. Yeah, look, only question I had was those lines have been temporarily installed since October 2022. Has anyone had any parking fines or anything? And I don't know if that's even possible the way it's set up.
I'm not sure, Nikki. I can't answer that, sorry.
It's a broken yellow line along the full, almost full length of the road at the moment, isn't it? I did actually notice someone sitting on them the other day, parked in their vehicle.
In their vehicle.
In their vehicle, yeah, just outside the hotel there. But
Okay, I guess I'd just be interested to check with enforcement just to make sure that nobody has been charged if we hadn't actually approved it under the bylaw. Does that make sense?
Well,
I don't
yeah.
want us to have issued illegal
well,
fines.
the question is around that is what process did the temporary parking restrictions go through to be put in place? Is that
Yeah, I'm not actually sure.
it's by the Alliance, isn't it? So
Well, the examples in Christchurch, I talk about the way over where they put them in, but they weren't signed off through a council resolution. And so people suddenly found out about that, they got their tickets refunded. But you know, you don't want to make a fuss about it. If anybody does, like, hey, we could check it out, like Nikki said, but I don't know what's the value of that. We could open up a.
I'll look into it. It's because those ones were temporary, there's a chance that that's all wrapped up under the TNP.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not certain of that. So I'll look into that and we can follow that up with enforcement.
Yeah.
I'd just like to make that, just foreshadowing, I'd like to make that part of the resolution that we do that.
Sorry, what
So,
would your resolution be? Sorry.
Oh, direct staff. I'm just off the top of my head. Direct staff to check check with enforcement that no fines have been issued and refund if they have been.
do we need to do that though?
I don't think that's a valid resolution.
No.
You can ask us to check, but I don't think you can resolve something like repay the fines. I don't think that's
Okay, that's fine. Look, yeah, whatever is
I'm
possible. So resolving to check would be fine. And report that.
If you need a resolution, we'll do that anyway. But we do need a resolution. It's a kind of thing you want.
I don't think it would hurt, and it just means that it's clocked.
Check it out.
So you need to.
Just a question before. So just remind me of the. What's the urgency on this one? What we want to get done right now?
Yeah, so project has received funding from Waka Kotahi. It's 100% funded.
Okay.
And the project needs to be delivered by the end of this financial year.
Yeah.
At the time of writing the report. Yeah, that's the parking removal is required as part of that project to construct the width to the standards.
Yeah, so they're ready to start work on it pretty soon.
Yes, yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Have you had any response to the letter drop?
The contract's been awarded to Fulton Hogan.
Fulton Hogan. Yeah, have you had any response from the public to the letter drop or that area? You know,
I'm not sure.
okay. Right.
The other question I had was about so the purpose of this meeting is to make the parking restrictions that are temporarily in place permanent and to deal with some spaces that are still available for parking at the near the other end of Robbins Road. To make them also unavailable for parking.
Yeah, so there's two sections of additional parks and then one big section of existing parks that currently have broken yellow lines through their lines.
And the parking on the opposite side of Robbins Road will remain in place as it is currently.
Yes,
throughout the work and going. Yeah, Nikki, back to your point, I'm not convinced that we need to have a resolution on that. I think as far as what we're deciding today is for what's going from this day onward for those parks.
Whatever's put it, and everyone can vote against it, but I do intend to put it because I think it's important that it's acknowledged that we put lines in place when the bylaw when we hadn't approved it under the bylaw. So they weren't technically temporary. It was marked out without approval. And if people have been prosecuted, fined in the meantime, I do think it needs to be noted publicly for the records so that they can recoup if need. It may not affect anybody, but
thanks.
For transparency, I'd like to do that and look at people.
So look to instructions on how you add another resolution to secondary things.
Well, I can either put, or someone can put what's there, and I can put an amendment, and people can vote against it if they want to.
So through the chair, you can, Councillor Glennon can add that as an amendment, as a third resolution. You need a deliberate second and then add it to substantive motion.
You take them separately if you want to.
Well, I thought you sorry.
It's a hard position to be in because it's like you don't know how much it's going to affect people if we don't know who's had been fined.
So
no, I thought that get it going. You move this resolution, get it on the table, and then if Nikki wants to move an amendment to it, that goes through, then that becomes the substantive motion. You take that. That's the way I understood it works. But we haven't got any motions that are on the table yet. We haven't moved it. So to start putting a new one in, we haven't even got one on the table yet.
Right.
And the other, just back to your question, see, after all the work's done and completed, the no parking will still be in place. That's permanent. It won't be removed. And it's not just gets work done. Okay, that's correct. Yeah. So I don't know, Mr. Chair, I suggest if we move a second to get it on the table, then if Nikki wants to move an amendment, try to get that through. Does that make sense, Nikki?
Yeah, absolutely, Lyle. Yep.
Right, so I'm sorry.
Sorry, can I just clarify that now? Do we move the motion first?
Sorry, yes, I missed. We hadn't actually made the motion with those.
Yep.
So you don't take it as a cost is correct. Just want to add to it.
Okay. So any other questions first? No other questions, Nikki?
No, that's it. Thanks, Kevin.
So the resolution in front of us to consider is that the Infrastructure Committee note the contents of this report and to approve changes to the new and existing restrictions applying to the on-road parking restrictions as set out in the document. These will come into force once signed or marked. We have a mover for the motion. Cody, thank you, Cody.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Lyle.
I'd just like to move an amendment if we're there. So the amendment I would like to move would be to direct officers to report back to the committee on whether any fines have been issued for the, how do we finish that off? For the areas that are subject to this report. Does that make sense? And we need a seconder if I'm gonna speak to it.
So just a comment. I'm not clear on the basis. I think the point you're raising is whether the temporary restrictions were put in. We don't understand how the temporary restrictions were put in. We don't know whether any parking tickets were issued or not. And even if they were issued, whether they were enforceable or not. So there's a whole series of questions there. You want us to tell you whether any tickets have been issued? That's your resolution? Proposed resolution?
I guess whether any tickets have been issued unlawfully, I suppose would be the preferable
I guess the
direction.
question in my mind is whether those questions are just an operational matter for the council. So, yeah.
We'll look at that. So then it's your decision as to whether you have the resolution or not.
Well, I think he's moved it, so just they've got to see if there's a second for it.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that amendment?
For me, I think it's recorded in the minutes what Vicky wants, and some action should be taken from there.
Well, if we could make sure that it is recorded, because often things aren't recorded in the minutes these days. So if that could be recorded in the minutes, please, that would be helpful.
Well,
So without a seconder, the amendment.
It falls over.
So you.
So with that to the original resolution, we've had a mover and a seconder. We've got a seconder for that. Is there another opportunity for discussion on that at the moment?
No.
Yeah, you can. Well, you've got it moved on top. You can do any other comment or discussion. Otherwise, move it. Otherwise, put it to the vote.
Is there any other comment? Discussion? No. So on that basis, then we'll call for all in favour.
Aye.
Aye.
Movement. That motion is carried.
Thank you.
So that brings us to the conclusion of the meeting. We declare the meeting closed at 11:42.
Okay, thanks, Kim.